Welcome to Blue Book video number 13, part 1 in our series on parenthetical information. In this video, we are going to learn how to cite two dissenting and concurring opinions, how to do quoting and citing parentheticals, how to add or remove emphasis from a quotation, and how to properly order the parenthetical information in your citations. Let's start with dissenting and concurring opinions. When a case is cited for a proposition that is not part of the majority opinion, for example, dissenting or concurring opinions, you must always indicate that to your reader. After the case citation, include the following information in parentheses: the justice's or judge's last name. Use the abbreviation capital J period comma for judge and justice, and either provide dissenting or concurring. This information is separated from the case citation by one space. Let's look at an example. Parker v. Randolph was decided by the United States Supreme Court in 1979. Following the parentheses after 1979 include a space, then parentheses, Stevens, J, dissenting, close parentheses. In Parker, we now know that this citation is from a dissenting opinion written by Justice Stevens. Here is a concurring example. Florida v. Jardines was decided by the United States Supreme Court in 2013. This citation was from Justice Kagan's concurring opinion. Please note, Blue Book Rule 10.6.1 provides more information about other types of weight of authority designation you might use. For example, you may need to indicate that a decision you're citing was written by the plurality of a court. Now let's do a weight of authority practice exercise. I want to cite the highlighted portion of Justice Zinter's dissenting opinion in this case, State v. Ketzler. The proper citation for this looks like this. Next, let's move on to quoting and citing. Quoting and citing is governed by Blue Book Rule 10.6.2. When the case you are wanting to cite as authority uses another case for the same point, it's appropriate to use a quoting or citing parenthetical. You must also provide a pinpoint cite with the authority in the quoting parenthetical. This is so your reader can easily find the information you are quoting or citing in both cases. Here's my tip on how to tell the difference between quoting and citing. Quoting is indicated by quotation marks or block quotes. Otherwise, the authority is merely citing to another authority, and you would therefore use a citing parenthetical. Let's look at a citing case example. In State v. Duvall, I want to use the highlighted language shown here on page 377 of the opinion. After the highlighted portion of the text, notice that the Duvall case includes a citation to page 686 of the State v. Dornbush opinion as authority for that same sentence. This is what the citation would look like. You would cite State v. Duvall, and then in a parenthetical indicate that Duvall is citing the Dornbush case. Note that the pinpoint citations are included for both authorities. Also note you include a double parenthesis at the end of the citation sentence. This is because the entire clause citing to the Dornbush case is enclosed separately. Now let's look at quoting parentheticals by starting with some quoting rules. If you are quoting a case that is quoting another authority, you will use double and single quotations. The double quotation marks go around the primary quotation, and the single quotation marks go around the internal quotation. For example, this case, State v. Grand River, is quoting language from the United States Supreme Court decision in Asahi. The quoted language is stream of commerce. To accurately quote the South Dakota case, use double quotations around all the language you want to quote, and then use single quotations around the internal Asahi quotation. Now let's look at a quoting case example. This is a screenshot from one of your civil procedure cases, Burger King. Here, the highlighted portion of the text I want to quote from in Burger King includes the quoted language fair play and substantial justice from International Shoe. Let's look at how this would be cited. First, note the quotations around fair play and substantial justice include both single and double quotation marks because we are quoting Burger King's quoting of International Shoe. Also note that the pinpoint cite for both cases, including International Shoe, is provided so the reader can easily access both opinions to find the exact phrase. Finally, notice that the International Shoe citation is different from the Supreme Court's. That's because you should put the quoted or cited case in proper Blue Book format, even if it's not that way in the original. Note, only one level of quoting or citing is required, like in this example. Here, there are 3 levels. We are going to cite directly to Woodford for the highlighted text. Woodford is using language quoted from the McCart case, and the McCart case quoted the Myers case. Because only one level of citing is required, your citation can look like this. You can eliminate the citation, including quoting from Myers, and end with a period here. Now let's look at parentheticals for emphasis. Emphasis rules are found in Rule 5.2, which states that words and phrases may be italicized for emphasis. For example, in this citation, emphasis can be added to the words "in the trunk of his car" by italicizing them. The authority for this sentence comes from Illinois versus Cabela's. Note after the Cabela's citation, year 2005, there is a space followed by emphasis added in parentheses, followed by a period. Here the reader knows the words "in the trunk of his car" were not emphasized in the Cabela's opinion. Rather, it was added by the writer. Let's look at another example from United States versus Jones. You also have to indicate to your reader when you omit emphasis that the court used in its opinion. Here, the highlighted language for Jones shows that the court emphasized the language, added to, not substituted for. Take a look at how this would be cited with the emphasis omitted. Finally, you do not need to indicate that emphasis is in the original if you do not change it. Let's look at the United States versus Jones example. Here, added to, not substituted for, is emphasized exactly how the court did in Jones. Therefore, a parenthetical after the citation is not needed. Now, all of this parenthetical information that we have gone over has to go in a particular order if there is more than one present in a citation. Look at Rule 1.5 sub B in your Blue Book. When a citation requires multiple parentheticals, place them in the order shown here. Look at this example. Here, I'm citing a dissenting opinion from Justice Henderson in Blessing versus Bonk, and I added emphasis to the words "was in the testator's own handwriting." The Blessing case also cited the Borgman case for authority. Thus, the proper order, according to Rule 1.5 sub b, would be dissenting, emphasis, and then citing. This concludes Blue Book video number 13.